Okay, time to tackle the tail. Going into strokes mode or brush. So these are 5. I'm just gonna do this. Continue like that. At least for the big scales. So somewhere around here I can drop that. So my sort of plan for the rest, I'm gonna do like loops around each big scale, and then over here I'm just gonna do like that. So I'm just pushing down these. I want to go out in edit mode. So here it's a bit harder to see, so I'm just gonna select the annotation and select surface, and then sort of like sketch out how each big scale is laid out. And now I can just isolate selection with divide on the numpad using C for circle select here. And then I just press I as an inset. If you want to activate wireframe, it's over here. Do the same thing here. I, pressing A in between to select everything or nothing. So here I'm pressing A to deselect, and I and A. Selecting and removing some polygons that was left after the inset function. So I'm just pressing X and then F, delete face. Now the sculpt brush has a really nice relax brush as well, so I just hold down Shift. Just adding more loops with the loops tool here. Smoothing out some kinks in the topology flow here. First using relax and then switching to sculpt mode and using the relax brush. Just selecting the middle loop, centering the cursor to world origin, using 3D cursor as the pivot, scale in X 0. Okay, now it's just gonna be contours loops all the way. So we do know that the loops, the edges all around is 14. So if I'm going to use contours, I need to go double up. So that will be 28. Selecting 5 edges. And selecting 5 here as well. Merging those. So I want to select the same amount of edges on both sides. Well, that's weird, it doesn't merge. We'll use the patches instead. Now we'll just have to delete the edge ring. So Shift Alt click there, XF as in delete, Shift Alt click XF, XF, good. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up the end of the tail, choosing strokes here, selecting, let's go with 4. Using the Sculpt Relax brush here. Okay, time to tackle the head. So I'm gonna start off here and continue like that. I noticed here that there's no inset, but I think I'm gonna do a last pass on the entire thing last. Okay. Do this. Just following the ridge here. Shift up and down on the keyboard to change spans. So I think I'm gonna tackle the mouth area here first, because we have some interesting shapes here that's gonna require some more thinking. Better to solve the simple things first. Going into Polypen. So I'm just thinking about this line. I'm gonna let it continue down like that. So I'm going to select these, extrude the strokes, select the front ones here, trace this, yes. And now we have a bunch of polygons that needs to be inserted here. Let's use Polypen. I think the most sanest thing in this case is to just make some loops here, since we already have sort of a loop going like that. And then we'll smooth this. And again, Z as in zebra for the relax brush, and C as in Caesar for tweak brush. Alright, to make things a bit snappier, I'm gonna separate the retopology polygons of the head just to make things faster. So I'm selecting this edge loop and going up to select loops, select loop in region, and press P, separate selection. Entering Retopoflow. I noticed that the edges here are a bit smaller than here, so I'm just going to try to distribute them a bit better. Moving things over here. Changing to polypen, Shift Q, tricquad, and now I'm just gonna create polygons like this and just match every edge loop or edge on the lower lip, so I get the matching amount on the upper lip. Changing to quad only on Shift Q, just adding polygons by holding down Control and clicking the mouse on the surface. One thing that feels important to include in the topology are the horns. They kind of protrude out from the general curvature. So let's go ahead and do that. Making sure I'm in tricquad mode, and here I'm just gonna outline. So you can see here that I'm really trying to wrap the polygon strip around each horn, so to speak. So here it's quite specific how many polygons I want around each horn in order to meet up the polygon density from the forehead, so to speak. So that's why I'm using the polypen and not the strokes. Yeah, so here it really feels like I should add something extra. Okay, let's work our way into the details of the face. Just using polypen here. So I'm really looking so that I get symmetrical topology here. Working my way forward. So around here, I kind of feel like, oh, there's this big shape here that I want to tie into with this loop. At the same time as I'm doing this, I'm looking down here. So I'm matching the amount of edges down there. And now I'm just going eyeballing, basically, keeping the same edge length. Okay, time for the eye. So trying to think about the amount of loops here. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, so those connects, that one connects, and those will connect. Okay, I think I'll just follow through here. Thinking, do I want to continue like that? Yeah, probably. And switch to strokes instead. Switching to polypen. So I'm looking over here and it kind of feels like that I want to cut in here. Yeah, I think so. Just do that. Strokes. Just select something shorter. It's not connected. There we go. Okay. Now we introduce some more spans. One more span here. I kind of want to follow up on that over here. So I'm thinking, yeah, here we are very much going in a like wrapping form. I think now we can switch to a grid-like form. Grid-like topology. Selecting this down there. So now I have to sort of decide if I want to connect this like that, or if I want to, so it's kind of the same, continue something like that. Kind of works. I'm a little concerned about the stretching that is going on here. So I think I'm gonna add a loop here, add a loop there, just to make sure that we get the same amount of edges on the upper and lower lip. Yeah, this feels better. Switching to strokes. I think I'll just do something like that. So over here we created quite a bit of polygons. And I'm wondering if I can perhaps delete, dissolve the loop, and just slide this one. Yeah, this is interesting. So we have a, like this curve is much longer than this. And we also have much more polygons here. So I think if I simplify this, we are going to need to do something like this. So we get kind of connect to those edges. And this type of, it kind of breaks the flow, but it's quite okay because we're not gonna bend the head at this point. This is all gonna be stiff, so the perfect topology flow is not as important. Okay, let's see. Selecting these edges, extruding. Now I need 6 more. I use the patches There we go. Doing the same thing here. Yeah, so I'm getting a lot of loops here. I don't have all that many here. So I think I'm gonna delete some. Control X down. Switching to polypen. So one thing I can do is to add a loop like this. Back to polypen. Okay. Let's relax a bit. Okay, I'm gonna fill in this area as well. So I'm thinking perhaps I could lead this up. It becomes a little tight to just pull it up there, so perhaps connect it so, and then cut that one in there. Or I keep it as a triangle, but it's in an area that is, I mean, here there's not going to be any deformation, so it makes sense to put it up here somewhere. Here I accidentally created a triangle, so I'm gonna delete that edge. And also the vertex. So here I'm just gonna select my relax brush and relax a big area of the topology that is a bit stretched or unevenly spaced. Okay, we're gonna take care of some details. You can see here and here and here that there's some parts of the mesh that really sticks out. So we're gonna do a little inset for those. So first of all, we just need to have a better idea of which ones are protruding. So I'm gonna select the annotation tool, make sure I'm on surface placement, and I can press D and do like a little ring. So this will sort of show where I need to add more detail. And then I just isolate this part. And now I can just paint select parts with C and then right click when I'm done. Then I create an inset by pressing I on the keyboard. Inset. And I also do a little smoothing of the vertices by pressing Ctrl V and O. Inset. So this part feels a little stretched, so I'm just gonna relax and tweak it a bit. Going into Retopoflow again in order to shrink wrap the vertices. And over here is the button for shrink wrapping the vertices.